struggled to raise school fees. Did you ever dream that one day you'll be a CEO, or what exactly were you dreaming through that period?
Every hurdle that could come before me, I knew I needed to jump and go to the next level. So I was never contented with anything that came to me. So I could only look up and get that appetite, and also look down and appreciate the steps that I've made. Never give up. You know, when you hit the wall, you gotta go.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ian Dennis, and tonight we have a very, very interesting conversation because you're going to be having a conversation with the CEO behind one of the biggest logistics brand. But before I get to reveal my guest today, I would like to let you know that we're here at the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur. The interesting thing about the Capital Club is that you have all amenities under one roof. You can do your gym here in the morning, you can do your meetings here, in the evening you can have dinner here, so everything is in one particular place. And what's more important to an entrepreneur as your time well spent. And you can all do it here at the Capital Club. The guest I'm speaking about is Mr. Richard Mongare, who's the CEO of ENA Coach, which is one of the, literally a brand that has literally sprung up within the last 5 years. That is one of the leading transportation or rather transport companies in Kenya, with a fleet of over 100 plus. And you just want to find out how this particular journey has been. Richard, asante sana, thanks so much for coming to the show. I know you're such a busy man, and I know finding you it's always also it's a challenge because I'm it's always on calls, always trying to check things out.
Sure.
And the first question I like asking all of my guests, what exactly are you most grateful for today?
Being alive. That is the most important thing. Yeah.
Interesting. Let me just take you back. I just like to know you and how your journey has transpired. Where did you grow up? How was your upbringing like?
Okay, I grew up in the village. There's a very low family setup. When going to public primary school.
Where is the village?
In the, let me say, in the heart of Kisii County, a place known as Masimba. Yeah, so that's where I grew. Later on, I moved to Molo.
Molo Kobaridi.
Yes. And actually, I'm an IDP. And then I went
you're an IDP?
Yes, yes.
Okay, how did that happen? That's 2007 or
2007,
what?
2007. Yes, but then by that time, I finished my high
So
school.
how did that happen, that you became an IDP? That's an interesting part of...
that's where we were living.
IDP,
we were living in Molo. And then the chaos, people had to be internally displaced. So we have to leave now, going back home.
How old are you?
35.
No, as in then?
Then?
Yeah.
That was 2007.
Yeah.
I was around 20, almost 20.
Interesting.
Yes.
Just paint for me a picture of how exactly that transpired. Because I don't know, unfortunately, we only see that on TV. The IDPs, people were displaced. And we only see that trying to be relocated, and you never see the pain. At least not umepatana moja, able to pay ushuhuda.
The fortunate part is that for me, I had somewhere to go back to Kisii. So that's where I call home. But I had got used to Molo. That was my home now. Now we have to go back to the village, Molo, because in Kisii, because now it was not habitable in Molo. Tribes were fighting. We could not stay, so we had to be escorted by the policemen on trucks. We left everything burning down. We went.
So your home was burned? Did you lose any particular property?
Yeah, we lost.
Just paint for me a scene how all these things particularly
we
transpired.
Lost animals, we lost some agricultural products that were on farms, homes. So we had to leave everything to go for your life.
Interesting. So for how long had you stayed in Molo, and how was it in Molo before everything transpired? Were you friendly with the neighbors, and then the neighbors turned on you?
Everything was okay until every election. There must have been chaos, but the 2007 was the peak. But every cycle there were chaos, but not as big. So we got used to it, that you have to move a bit. After elections, you have to come back. But 2007, it marked the end of people like us. Of course, the rest went back home. But for our family, didn't.
Interesting. And just looking back at that particular moment, how does it resonate with you? What are some of the emotions that you have of that particular point in time?
You know, the unfortunate part is that the people you considered family, friends, neighbors, they can turn against you because of the political alignment. And sometimes they don't even know your alignment just because you belong to a certain tribe. It was the unfortunate part, but thank God it has never happened again. So people changed those styles of behavior and the version of reasoning.
Did you lose anybody within your family, or
No,
any person within your family that was harmed?
Fortunately, we didn't.
And from that experience, what are some of the lessons, maybe the principles that you hold after going through that, whereby you had neighbors, you're all okay, but an elections made people turn against you?
All I know is that political ideologies may differ, but will never change to be brothers or sisters. And when I say brother, it doesn't mean the brother I was born with. The person who is very close to me is my brother. Because at the time of need, I'll be the first person, or he will be the first person to come to rescue. I'll not call maybe miles away for someone to come and rescue. So we might differ politically, ideologically. That doesn't mean that we stop the relationship we have as brothers or as neighbors.
Interesting.
Sure.
And you mentioned that the point you're leaving Molo was when you were 20. So growing up, a significant part of you grew up in Kisii. And how exactly was part of your upbringing, or maybe what made you leave Kisii to Molo?
You know, going for greener pastures. Let me say that the larger part of Nakuru and Molo by then was very productive in terms of agriculture. That's when Pyrethrum was booming.
Oh, Pyrethrum.
Yes. So my parents went for such greener pastures because they were never employed. They were just peasant farmers, so they went there to get something better.
So you also literally became a farmer too. You're farming Pyrethrum.
Yes. So we were used to plucking Pyrethrum and helping them, because let me say that most of my time I could be in the farm, apart from being in class. Yeah, growing up was difficult. It was not an easy thing, but then we managed. So I was on and off Molo, but I did my primary from KCC, that is KSP from Kisii. I proceeded to Kisii High School. It was difficult because raising a fee was not an easy thing.
Both your parents were all farmers?
Yes, and by then they were in Molo. So I accumulated fees to around 80 by the end of mid of Form 2. I remember one time when the principal wanted to maybe ask me to go for the fee. When I talked to him, I told him, you allow me go with my box, because I knew Sitarudi. I could not even have the fare from Molo to come and pick this box. So you could not understand why I was saying this, but then he asked me to talk to him and make him understand where I want to go with the box. So I told him my story. God touched him, and he gave me work in school. So at school I was an employee. And a student.
In Form 1?
In Form 2.
In Form 2?
Yes.
So what were you employed to do?
After evening classes, I could go around the school compound, switching off all the lights that were not being used to cut down the bills. So he showed me the bill, and he told me, any amount you save from this, I'll pay to your school fees.
Interesting.
Yes.
So what was the bill and how did you save?
It was around 230 something. But I can remember the highest I saved was around 22,000.
So the 22,000 will go to your fees?
Yes.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So that was your first employment?
Yeah. In school.
So you have to make sure after everybody finishes in class, because you must zote.
Zote. And you wake up even at 2 to go and check out if maybe someone had to use some lights so that you can put them off.
Interesting.
And so after I managed to get a B plane, I managed a few points to get a B plus. By then it was a B plus for government sponsorship.
Yeah.
So I missed it.
Uh-huh.
I went back to the village.
Yeah.
I knew that was the end of me because
to Molo. To Kisii.
Yeah, to Kisii.
Uh-huh.
I could not get a certificate.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was hell because of
you could not get certificate. Oh, but the Kuzima stima ikumaliza fees.
No, it didn't.
Ilikata to what amount? Or what debt
by
did you leave school?
By the time I left school, I had around 1 or 2.
Uh-huh.
So I went back in the village. I tried for the second time in a village school.
Yeah.
I got a Y.
Yeah. Oh, you tried to do KCSE?
Yes,
for the second time. And then you got a Y?
Yes.
Why? Why did you get a Y?
I left Kisii High School. I was doing computer as a course, as a subject. So when I went back to Masimba, that's when they were starting, the first year. So the teacher, when we were doing our practicals, the teacher took my floppy disk. Then we were using floppy disks. He took my floppy disk, gave to the 3 students to copy, change few things. Unfortunately, they could not change even the name. Yeah, that's how we got away.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then, how did you manage to get a grade to move on, or what did you, how it happened, or use the initial grade you had?
I decided to try for the 3rd time. I got a C+, and by this time I was exhausted. So I didn't know I could move anywhere. So in 2010, I was working in a cyber.
In Kisii or in Nairobi?
In Kisii, because of that knowledge of computer.
Yeah.
So, and I could admire these students coming from the university to print their homework and maybe copy some videos.
Yeah.
So I got the appetite to go to campus. So I said, why can't I try? And maybe I go for even if it's a semester. I would have tested. I did some fundraisings. I joined Kisii University. And this time I decided, let me join us evening class. During the day, I could do one to raise fee or to even sustain myself. Yeah, so during campus, I could do mjengo, I could do car wash.
Oh, because the village had raised fees for you, so for you to sustain yourself, you had to do other hustles.
Everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting whereby this student who struggled to raise school fees, had debt when leaving university, the whole community had to raise fees to go to university. It's such a journey that you had to go through. But during that period, did you ever dream that one day you'll be a CEO, or what exactly were you dreaming through that period?
You know, I had not even settled on thinking maybe that I could finish.
Shida ni nyingi.
Yes,
and
so
also you're an
I only
IDP.
wanted to test that college life. You know, people could come from the college to my cyber and they could talk good things. So I only wanted to test. I didn't know that I could finish. So, but then I had good colleagues and many classmates who understood, because all of them were working people. I was the only person who was not working. So they understood my case, and most of them, they could support me. Yeah, and then I started working as a clerk. Transline. I was.
Transline is also one of the logistics, or rather, one of the bus brands. Yes. So you started working as a clerk.
Office clerk. And then when I finished my undergraduate, I did operations management. I started managing their finances, and I became the finance manager.
Interesting. And how was that journey? Because considering you had gone into abject poverty and then you started going through the rank, what aspirations did you hold through that particular period?
You know, every hurdle that could come before me, I knew I needed to jump and go to the next level. So I was never contented with anything that came to me. So I could only look up and get that appetite, and also look down and appreciate the steps that I've made. Yeah, that's what kept me moving from one place to the other, one point to the other.
And it's very interesting. I think maybe I've not also gone so much into it, but you'd mentioned that when you're in university, you had to do odd jobs. So, besides the cyber, which was at least a good job, quote unquote, back in the day, mjengo, what else did you actually do?
I could do mjengo, I could do some washing for some people, clothes. I could do car wash, everything that could earn me a living.
And where were you staying then? Because I can try to imagine the whole family is in Kisii. Or now in Nairobi, how are you surviving?
No, not in Nairobi. Kisii University.
That's in Kisii.
Kisii town.
Oh, in Kisii. Oh,
yes.
Right.
So I was living in a small room. I was paying 1,400.
That was your rent?
Yes. So when you leave home, you leave home carrying your clothes that you will use to go to school. You go after Mjengo, get in nearby river. So the classes used to be in the evening? Yourself, yes, and go to class.
And how is what's it called? How did you sustain through this period? Because I can try to imagine you want to be successful, you want to get out of this, and things are not working out. What was keeping you going?
Yeah, the fact that my classmates could assist, and I had hope that if I manage through this semester, maybe the next semester I can manage. So each and every time, you are counting on hope and pushing on. But you must. I started with one semester, 1 year.
So you're paying your school fees from the support of your classmates and some of the hustles you used to do?
Yes.
And how much is the school fees then, first term?
Around 55,000.
And as Mjengo, how much are you making per day?
Around 300.
How are you meeting this 55,000 from 300 a day?
Yeah, you see, when I came from the village, it was paid almost 1 year. That was almost 2 semesters.
It was the Arambi, the whole village had to come through.
So from there, I was only topping up. So each and every time, I was almost ahead of the school fees.
At least you're 300 Narusho Kombele.
Yes.
Going through all these difficulties, because all these are hurdles, what's it called? Having struggled paying your school fees, being an IDP, finishing school in debt, trying to go into college. What has difficulty taught you?
The only teaching I got from this is that never give up. You know, when you hit the wall, there's a door. So you just walk through.
Interesting. And how are you keeping that? I think I'm just trying to imagine all the problems, because I've never experienced all that you've gone through. Just keeping sane all through. Were you never depressed? Depressed was not something that was in your life, Coach?
No, that was not an option. Because you can only get depressed when you've gone high and you're coming down. But when each and every day you're seeing yourself walking, just keep walking.
Interesting. And you mentioned that you started off as a clerk. For how long did you work as a clerk at Transline?
Around 1 year.
And how much right now are you earning?
500 shillings a day.
500. Also, you at least will graduate from 300.
Yes.
And then you mentioned, so for the clerk you worked for 1 year, and then after that, what happened next?
I became the finance manager.
Yes. Still at Transline, based in Kisii?
Yes.
And now, how salary grew to what percent?
Not so good, because it started with 10 plus the 500 that I was earning.
Also 10,000 per
month, and then there's this 500 daily.
That was as a manager.
Kept on graduating. Yes.
And then how did you graduate? I like knowing about the finance journey.
By the time I was
God, you understand this journey, so that you can see God through it.
By the time I was leaving the hairstyle guy, it had gone as 50.
Yes. Interesting. And going through this corporate ladder, I believe you'd never touched 50,000 before. What are some of the disciplines you learned around money? Because you are someone who earned 300 shillings a day, you went and earned 500, then 10,000, up to 50,000. What did you learn about money, considering you had not touched money before? How is it? What did you learn about money?
Okay, I was surrounded by business people. So each and every time I had an appetite to try and do business. So Transline had an account with Equity Bank, corporate section. That's where most of the time Equity had introduced that section. But the business people can go sit, have coffee as a way to maybe to be served. So most of the time I could meet people there that I admired to talk to and even understand how I can do business.
That's you used to access it as a finance manager?
Yes, because the company had an account at Equity corporate section. So this kept me admiring how business people were living. So, and I thought I should start also doing business. So I started from registering a business name, and through some of these friends started getting business opportunities to supply. So it started somewhere, the journey started, and then even my uncle now, who is the chairman at ENA, then helped me secure some job, which was really heavy and I could not manage to fund it. He assisted me to fund it.
Interesting.
And I got good money.
And we'll come to that particular good money you're going to take us.
Get the StarTimes aerial decoder at 1,199 shillings and enjoy the classic bouquet for 1 month free. Or the StarTimes dish decoder at 2,999 shillings and enjoy super bouquet for 1 month free. Get your decoder at any of our business halls or dealer shops nationwide.
Don't you forget it.
StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Millionaires Club is ready for you. The seat at the head of the table inaweza kuwa yako. This is the club of millionaires. Cheza sasa na 99 bob 2 ujishindie over 310 million sport pesa mega jackpot. SMS kubali kwa 79079 ama visit ke.sportpesa.com. Will you be the next millionaire? Form ni 300 milli.
From the depths of heartache to the heights of happiness, lives intertwine in ways you never imagined.
That's how I look at it, being the mother of Jaime's children.
Secrets are revealed, alliances are tested.
It was your husband who killed my daughter!
Mommy! Mommy!
And true love faces its biggest challenges.
You know what? This is your fault. I warned you.
Love, betrayal, and endless suspense thrive in the world of soap operas at KTN Home. Tune in.
I saw the killer bride.
You mean the ghost?
With Glovo, you've got the city at your fingertips. Unajisikia kukula kitu different? Order a Glovo. Soap imeisha? Order a Glovo and get it right away. Download Glovo and get anything you want in minutes.
Get the StarTimes aerial decoder at 1,199 shillings and enjoy the classic bouquet for 1 month free. Or the StarTimes dish decoder at 2,999 shillings and enjoy super bouquet for 1 month free. Get your decoder at any of our business halls or dealer shops nationwide.
Don't you forget it.
StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Back to the show. Before you went on a break, we're just discussing this particular long journey that I was just trying to relate with, and I called it from someone who went from nothing to something, from an IDP, I think, as you've witnessed, until to grow to a point now. You'd gotten to a point now you'd had 50,000, you started learning about business, and then you mentioned that you met your uncle and he helped you get a particular business. How was it called? What was that particular business, and what did you do to now change your life?
I got an opportunity to supply 1 acre fund with some products. were costing around 1 million. I didn't have the capacity. So through him, I got the opportunity to pick these products from one of the wholesalers on credit.
Yeah.
Because he used to be a wholesaler, so
Yeah.
he had a credit
line.
line. Yes, and I was paid after 2 weeks. And I made some good money.
Interesting.
And that's how I started swinging in business.
Interesting. So you still used to combine, did you get into business fully, or you used to combine business, the supply business, and also you work as, what's it called?
The supply business was not regular, so I was still working as an employee.
Interesting. So for how long did you work now as a finance manager before making your transition?
I did like 6 years before we started now ENA.
All right. And so ENA is one of the biggest brands. Even for me, I usually use it when I'm traveling to my rural area. And it has grown so fast. It started in 2018.
Sure.
How did that what informed the setup of ENA?
Well, at Transline, we felt it's good to start something new. Start a new brand and build it. So
what made you feel that you wanted to start another? Because Transline was also very big.
Yeah, it was big then, but we felt we can start something bigger. So that's when we stepped aside and we started ENA with a fleet of around 37 vehicles. That is in 2018, around August. Yeah.
And you started, what's it called? Was it a partnership? What's it called? How did you go about setting it? Because it seems very easy. You started with a fleet of 37 vehicles, but 37 vehicles is one bus is over 20 million. How did this?
We had only we had only 12 buses, and the rest were shuttles. And this is majorly, ENA is now a company. It's not a circle. It's a company. It's a limited company.
Yeah.
Yes. So we started structured and started.
Interesting. Just take me through the earlier days of setting it up. How did you finance this? Because it's not an easier project to go into the logistics company. How did you guys go about this? And what made you feel that there's a market within an industry that's already, quote unquote, saturated with the major brands that operate in those particular routes?
We were being financed by Stanbic Bank then. And we came to solve a problem because Matatu, when you Matatu, it's just, they run it in a normal way. We wanted to make it professional. We wanted to change that perspective or perception that Matatu is just they have to go where maybe there is a lot of touting, someone going with your luggage and you're going to a different vehicle. You're being bullied or pushed to the vehicle. So we wanted to change and come up with a professional way of running the industry. And that's what we came to solve. It was challenging because nobody knew about ENA. So getting into the market with a new brand is not easy. But then we had to use the service delivery as the only marketing option. We promise what we can deliver. And that's what changed.
When you set up, you mentioned you started off, which routes did you start with, and how were initial days? Because I'm trying to look at it. You can't say you're getting to business today and then you presume all your buses are going to be filled, all the shuttles are going to be filled.
Yeah, the first.
How was the first day?
When we were starting, we gave ourselves like 3 months of dry period for maybe before people could know who ENA is. But then we thank God that we only went dry for 2 weeks.
So in the initial days, regardless of you not having passengers, you used to just fly the routes?
Yes.
Was there a time driver alienda tu peke yake?
Yes. So like 2 weeks from Nairobi, that is.
Nairobi too?
From upcountry, because we remained in the same officer that we were using in Transline and the same staff. So we had not even changed the branding. So people could not understand.
From Transline out to ENA?
Yes. It's only that in Nairobi we had to get somewhere else away from Transline. Yeah, so for like 2 weeks from Nairobi we didn't have passengers because they didn't even know where to get us. But when we could float them at our Wakulima office, now people started knowing that ENA exists. And then when we completed the branding of vehicles, now it was now in the public that there is a new company that has got into this industry. But then, as I was telling you, what we wanted is to change the perception, to change the industry and make it more professional. So we had to say that we are not changing our fare rates, we are scheduling our vehicles. Even if someone wants to book in December and it's in January, they can just book with the same rate, vehicle schedule, and we must deliver.
And why is that? Because I know one of the promises that as ENA you give is that the fare is going to remain the same regardless. And in a point whereby there are fuel subsidies for what the government decides, another time it doesn't, fuel keeps on going up and up. How are you able to keep your operations, the same? Because I'm sure if fuel goes up, it really affects the business. Do you have like a partner you hedge on fuel, or how do you go about it?
No, when we do our budgeting or planning, we look at a rate which we will not feel that we are hurting ourselves, and which we will not feel that we are hurting our passengers. And this rate, unless something changes drastically and in a big margins, then we would request to review. But unless it changes, then our fares has always remained the same throughout the year. Yes.
Interesting.
And that one helps us have some clients, specific people who understand us, because when the rest maybe country bus vehicles are using maybe 800 and our rate is 1,200, the people are used to ENA. They don't know when it's dry and when it's maybe peak. So they just know that with 1,500 I'm just able to travel, or with 1,200 I'm able to travel.
And then which routes did you start with, and how has the business managed to scale up to other routes? Because I know it's
we started with Nyanza from Nairobi up country. Yes, yes. And then later on we expanded to Western and to Coast. But then we started with Nyanza.
And what determines which route to go to? When to expand? What determines this particular decision?
It's a demand. You don't just go because you want to be felt in that area. It's a demand. When people ask, you analyze. Now we have a center that does the analysis. We have a call 24/7 call center. When they receive these calls, they are able to give us the data on what was the inquiries. So when we feel that a certain route demands our services, that's when we expand to the same route.
Interesting. And I think also I'll just take you back. So you are clerk, finance manager, and then you set up a new brand, you become the CEO. How was that for you? How was that particular transition? Because I know it's such a big transition whereby you're just an employee, now you've gone into leadership.
Yes, it is. It's a big transition. But then I got used to these same people. Now, what
also the same owners?
No, the same people. I mean, the drivers, the crew, the staff. What I was not used are things like what I'm doing today. I was not used to that life. But then it had to come that now step into those shoes, you have to do it. You have to know how to be able to communicate with your partners, how you're able to relay the information, how you're able to manage all the operations now. Because then you're only managing finance.
Just finance.
Now you're managing all the operations. So you learn and then you master. And then once you master, you don't even sit and say, I've mastered. Because the world is dynamic. Everything is changing every day. You have to learn on how you have to keep with these changes. Yes.
And how does your day now look like as a CEO? And how does it feel, first of all? Because you're
as I told you, you look down where you come from and then you appreciate. But then you look up and then you have that, maybe you admire that you should go up. But then you don't forget that also God has elevated you to some level. So it doesn't look or feel something different for me to be a CEO because it has taken time. So it's only that it comes with a lot of responsibilities. So my days usually crazy. Get to the office and then getting the briefs from all the departments. Everything now in this industry must hit your desk. And people depend on maybe what your decision can impact. So you have to think even before you decide on how you're going to impact, how your decision is going to impact, and not only your staff, but the public. Yes.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge that you faced so far in your stint as the CEO running the business?
Well, I can say, there's a perception or notion in the public that Matatu is being run by the illiterate people. So what is mostly challenging is to deal with this class you're saying, literate. So, but also you feel happy when you get to convince these people to reason differently. Because yes, this person didn't go beyond maybe class 8. But this person will be carrying Ian, will be carrying another CEO, an MD, an engineer, a teacher, a professor in the bus. And all these people depend on his skills. So you have to encourage this person to accept there is someone so special in the market. Once you've managed that, this person will reason differently and will dispense his duties differently. Not unlike maybe scenarios or situations, you think that just because they are not learned, they are not empowered. They are empowered differently from us. Because what they do here, you cannot do. There's someone who can drive from here to Kisii and come back and they're still fresh. But for me, I can live here to Kisii and I'm tired. So they're empowered differently. So that has been the most challenging part to make these people understand that they are so special and they can work professionally.
Interesting. And one of the things about the dynamics of the business is that sometimes you have incidences along the road, probably, God forbid, the accidents also come about. Recently, you had that particular mechanical challenge whereby one of the buses went on fire. How do you deal with all these dynamics that come into place? First of all, when you receive a call, your bus has got into an accident or fire has come to an accident, how do you usually feel? Are you used to it or?
I cannot say that I'm used to it because the first thing is for you to know whether people are safe. Because for a bus, you can replace, the insurance can repay, but for human beings, it's not, you cannot. So the first thing you ask is whether people are safe. And maybe when it has broken down, it has had an accident. So the immediate thing for you to do is to connect with the nearest police station for the safety of these people and also for the rescue operations, these people to be taken to the hospitals. And then you plan on the rescue bus for those people who are okay and they wish to continue with the journey as the rest takes into action. But it's always not easy. So you cannot say that you're used to it. Every call you receive at night, kwanza unashtuka. Is everything okay? Yeah, so but then, as I said, once you talk to these people and they understand that they are very, very important people, even how they manage these vehicles on the road becomes professional. And that one can reduce accident. Of course, an accident is not something that you can predict, but then the incident is reduced.
And how now do you deal with the public relations that come with it? Because primarily, if anything happens, because the nature of the road, no one wants to get into an accident, but they happen. Mechanical issues do happen. How are you able now to deal with the PR that comes into place? Because there's an aspect whereby you face this, the public may have this particular perception of you. How have you managed, despite the challenges that happen because of the dynamics of the business, how are you able to manage that particular element of PR?
So the most important thing is don't give rumor an opportunity. So once you gather every information on how the ground is, then you do a presser, or you communicate to the public, either through our social media handles, or you post maybe a communication from the CEO's desk or the operations manager or the fleet manager, whoever that is able to do that statement. So that one confirms to the public, because if you go silent, now you give the rumors the space to operate. So the most important thing, get to know what is on the site, and then communicate the truth.
I want to just sort of take you back. In 2020, when COVID came to be, and there's a time whereby the industry was literally on a lockdown. And how did you guys handle that particular phase? Because I believe you're dependent on roads being, what's it called, your vehicles being on the road. But here, roads were shut down. It's just 2 years into the business. How did you handle that period? How did you handle the losses that came with that particular period?
It was the most difficult moment or period. But then you see, at that time, you could say that you rather lose everything, but you have life. So everything came to a standstill.
Yeah. How did you deal with it?
Loans were restructured. There were no operations. But thank God we had a section that was working. That is a logistics courier. So that is what you use to sustain even the employees who were on the other side, to have them keep moving. We are not just paying salaries, anything that can manage their lives. Yeah, so that's what kept us moving. But then that was a very tough moment.
You mentioned you started at 37 vehicles.
Yes.
Now you've grown to 130 within a period of less than 5 years. What has been key to this particular exponential growth?
I can say that when you're able to deliver, when you make a customer happy, the customer will make your pockets happy, and then you're able to expand. So the most important thing is to deliver what you promise, and then people can believe you and can know that you are reliable. Otherwise, you don't go to the farm for you to get money to come and expand. You'll have to use the money that is rotating within. So if you are delivering, then it means people are using your services and they appreciate monetary, and this is the money that you can use to expand as per the demand dictates.
And how now do you finance that particular demand? Is it just investing back into the business, or is it debt, or is it financing? How do you usually go about it?
You can never manage without financing, but then as you grow, you start reducing the financing. Yes, but then you have to start with financing. Then as you get the customer base, they are able to assist you repay your finances, your financing, and then you reduce on your debts.
And when it comes to debts, what makes you determine when to get a debt? How do you go about debt, especially because your business is it's cash flow sensitive. There's so many different particular elements coming to the business. What makes you come to a decision whereby we need to get debt, and how do you determine what kind of debt you're going to get? And how do you structure those particular debts for the business?
Probably when you are starting a new route, and maybe you want to pump in a good number of fleet, that's when you can go into debt after doing the feasibility test that this route is going to perform. So probably that's when you can go for more debt to manage the demand, knowing that there's going to be a cash flow that's going to repay the debt, yes.
Interesting.
But otherwise you cannot just go because you want to increase the fleet. You increase with a demand.
Have you ever invested in a route and it has never paid back, or invested in a route and it took so long before it came to pay back?
Let me say maybe taking long, but we've not regretted starting any route.
Which has been the most challenging one?
Western.
How come? You guys never traveled in the whole How come?
I don't know, but then there is the one that was...
Which part of Western? Because also...
Kakamega, Mumias, but then we are okay now.
But my route ya Busia iko sawa?
Then they are okay now. They are okay. We didn't understand them initially. Now we do.
Interesting. At least you allow them to eat on the road. And another thing that you also mentioned quite earlier, and I just wanted to touch on it, is the aspect of the governance structure. Most of the matatus of people in logistics are under a particular circle. ENA is a limited company. How now do you, how have you managed to manage that? Because in those circles it takes individuals to actually contribute to the business.
That's why I said that for this we came to do differently and to do it professionally. Where maybe Ian takes a vehicle to a certain circle, you dictate who drives, you can fire and tire anytime. and there are no strict guidelines on to manage that circle. But for a company, there are structures. So these structures is what can help a company run. And so it has a board that sits to decide when to expand. It has all the onogram, let me say, of a business environment, from the chairman all the way down to the CEO, the procurement, all the officers are there. So we are there to do it differently, not just the way I can just go to the showroom today and buy a vehicle and bring it to a certain circle. And they say, this is my vehicle, this is my
so everything is run by the company. The company that decides. There's no individual.
Yeah, there's no individual.
Interesting. And it just has to come to an end. Maybe what's that one lesson that life has actually taught you? Because I think your story just want to hear in the headline, from IDP to CEO. What's that one lesson that life has taught you that now you take it to heart?
You know, people keep saying that always look up, but then for you to be motivated, also look down. You know, even today you could be driving your Mercedes, and just you look up and you wish to own a chopper. But then as you drive along the streets and it's raining, someone is walking and being rained on. So you will not appreciate that you're in a Mercedes until you see that person being rained on. So as you look up, always look down to know how far you've come. And then it can give you an encouragement in how far you can go.
Interesting. Yes. Wow, that's a very interesting way to just wind up. And thanks so much for just sharing all the particular aspects of the wisdom that you've come to. I appreciate so much for your time. That has been Mr. Richard Mongare, who's the CEO of ENA Coach, which is one of the biggest brands. If you're coming from Western Mombasa, there's another particular aspect of transportation that you need, especially if you're using public transport other than ENA. As always, they're coming to you from the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur. And the beautiful thing about being part of the Capital Club is the amenities in and within the Capital Club. And also, because I keep on mentioning, as being part of the Capital Club, you can actually spend a full day here and not even realize that you're in the same place. Because there are meeting rooms, there are amenities, you can actually do gym, you can actually have entertainment, you can